welcome to the Lone Star Conference Service Spotlight, where we highlight members of the LSC serving on NCAA national committees. I'm Brennan Tripp, and today we have the privilege to speak with St. Mary's Associate AD and Division II Legislative Relief Committee member, Marlon Furlongue. Marlon, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Before we get into your committee work, as I like to do with everybody, could you just give us a little bit of your background in college athletics, kind of how you got into working in college athletics and how you got to where you are at St. Mary's?
Sure. So my background in college athletics started as an intern, as a sports information intern when I was a student at St. Mary's University, another Division II institution in SSC. I started out, I was a sport management major. We had to get internships, so I started looking around, did an on-campus internship with sports information. Loved it because it wasn't just sports information. We did a little bit of everything. We did event management, and doing all that, just being at the games and things like that, really struck a chord with me. So from there, just focused on college athletics. I did my master's, and then I became an active intern. So did an active internship, went to Cleveland for the year. Worked at the convention, loved it even more. So I really honed in, like, this is what I wanted to do. So from there, worked for a year at a company called Sports Media Challenge in Charlotte, North Carolina. Really wasn't fully entrenched in college athletics. So, went to an NAI institution in Florida called Warner University, where I was a sports information director. Again, loved it. Did it for 3.5 years. Loved the SID work, but I wanted to do more. So I had an opportunity to get into compliance. Worked at Bluefield State College in West Virginia. Cut my teeth in compliance there for 2 years. Wanted to do a little bit more from there, so got a job at Nova Southeastern University, another Division II institution in SSC down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was there for 6 years. Got promoted to assistant athletic director my last 2 years, and then from there, here at St. Mary's.
That's awesome. And, switching to your committee roles a little bit, you're pretty new to the Legislative Relief Committee. I think just joined in this August, but what can you tell us about the role of your committee? How does it affect Division II as a whole? And how does it affect student athletes specifically?
So the Legislative Relief Committee serves as the final decision-making body for any waiver request. So, if an institution makes a waiver request to the NCAA, if it gets denied, and they can appeal, the appeal comes to us as a committee. So we have, the final decision-making on legislative relief. Sometimes it may go the student athlete's way, sometimes it may not. But we look at extenuating circumstances if they exist. And then from there, we make a determination. We got to look at the full scope of the case, whatever documentation they're bringing to the table, statements, things like that. But this committee is the final decision-making body when it comes to any kind of legislative relief.
Yeah, so to this point on the Service Spotlight, we've had a lot of legislative committee members on, and you're really kind of the first adjudicator committee that is involved with some of the decision-making process in specific cases. What is it about this group, this particular committee, that got your interest peaked and got you involved in serving on this committee? And then how did you get started in committee service in general?
Well, for this committee, so I've been on the other side of the committee where I've applied for legislative relief waiver and been denied, and appealed it to this specific committee and still was denied. But I understood, once, NCAA staff member came back and explained to me, what the committee, determined, why they determined it. So, I kind of understood where they came from. So when the opportunity presented itself to be on the committee, I figured, let me apply and see if I can also in some way impact the process. It's not an easy process. We had a call yesterday, which was a tough one as well. But I feel like it is definitely a good service and a good way to actually get back to the committee and NCAA.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask you a little bit about your role on campus at St. Mary's. As the head of compliance within athletics, it's obviously been a very busy time for you and across college athletics, especially in terms of new legislation. What has it been like for you and your compliance role during this time as you deal with all the changes legislatively and how that affects student athletes within Division II and at St. Mary's?
Yeah, my role is just keeping up with everything. Just having to keep your ears perked at all times, whatever emails coming through from the NCAA, whether it's from the sports medicine people or the administrative committee, just trying to hone in and try to keep abreast of everything that's going on. It changes. I mean, it changes. I feel like every week. Testing protocol, whether it be who's getting their year back, seeing competition waivers, just trying to stay ahead of everything or on top of everything it's been very challenging. At the same time, trying to keep our student athletes safe. Feel like I'm doing more practice check-ins, making sure student athletes are wearing their masks, things like that. So it's definitely been very different. Nothing I've ever been a part of before, as is for everyone. But just being on campus and having to go through the COVID thing, it's very challenging at times.
All right, well, Marlon, thank you so much for all that you do for the LSC, for St. Mary's University, and for Division II. And thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.